I'm here because we stand with Rick Saccone and Pennsylvania conservatives, and come to think of it, we always stand for our flag and our national anthem as well.
The vice president in Pittsburgh today for a pair of events. Mike Pence helped to rally support for a Republican congressional candidate and then made an appearance at the Heinz History Center.
We have team coverage for you tonight. We'll start with political editor John Delano, who sat down for a special one-on-one with the VP. John, what can you tell us?
Well, Christine and Ken, you know, we're over at the Heinz History Center. This was really the official reason why the vice president came to town, to talk about tax cuts and the tax bill that recently passed Congress. And he did it before an audience of supporters here at the Heinz History Center. It was really an opportunity for him to praise the president, praise the Congress. He had Congressman Mike Kelly, Congressman Keith Rothfuss with him. But after the event, the official event, I had a chance to sit down with him where I asked him some key questions, both about the bonuses that this particular administration, both President Trump and Vice President Pence, talk about all these bonuses that people are getting. Well, when are most of us going to get those bonuses? I asked him about that, and then I also asked him about the medical marijuana program, because the Trump administration has been opposed to the use of medical marijuana in Pennsylvania. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. What is your message to employers across Pennsylvania and across America about giving bonuses to their employees?
Well, it really is extraordinary with the jobs report today to know that in the last year, 2.5 million new jobs have been created. And we really believe that we're just getting started.
Are you asking employers to give bonuses to the rest of us?
Well, what we want is to see employers take the opportunity of a lower business tax rate to reinvest in those companies, to raise wages, to become more competitive and grow and create opportunities. And it's already happening. In that same jobs report today, we saw that wages have risen in the last year faster than any year for the past 8 years. And 50,000 people here in Pennsylvania have already gotten a raise. But honestly, John, we think it's just getting started.
Do you really want to go after and criminalize and jail mothers who give medical marijuana to their kids or to those who need it medically?
Well, as you know, the Attorney General clarified the federal government's position with regard to current law and with regard to the enforcement of that law at the local level. This may be an issue that comes before Congress in the days ahead. And I'll support the administration's position as we go forward.
Well, again, to be clear, that clarification essentially allowed local U.S. attorneys to make a decision about whether to prosecute parents, prosecute those who use medical marijuana. At this stage, so far, we haven't had a definitive word from our U.S. Attorney Scott Brady on whether or not he would go after those who use medical marijuana. Now, coming up new at 6, I asked the vice president, frankly, about Rick Saccone. That's the political reason he was here in Pittsburgh. We talked to him about that. And then the vice president took a shot at Senator Bob Casey during his remarks here. The senator shot right back. I'll have more of that coming up new at 6. Live at the Heinz History Center, I'm John Delano, KDKA-TV News.